Alright, World of Warcraft Dragonflight is doing some new and interesting race class combos, and I wanted to talk about that today. But first, I think they should definitely unlock Warlocks for all classes, and while Warlocks for Draenei might be an interesting thing, because, there is the kind of weird possibility where a Draenei Warlock might summon and enslave a Succubus, to be their pet in battle, and it might actually turn out to be her sister. So, I actually want to talk about that and some other interesting things and how being a Draenei Warlock is actually, that would actually make sense. Even though the Draenei culture is against Warlocks, the Eredar were the first race to be able to start summoning, demons from the Twisting Nether. So if they went back to using that magic, it would make sense. It's just the only reason they're not doing that is because their culture, and they're very, very much afraid of demons, and afraid that they're gonna summon in the next Sargeras, to be able to chase them down to Azeroth, and they're gonna have to do that, jump 3 planets all over again. But let's talk about some of the new race class combos, why Draenei Warlocks would be a good thing, and how they could actually get into that weird situation where a Draenei Warlock could end up enslaving, a Succubus demon, and that demon turned out to be her sister. So let's talk about all that stuff. First, let's talk about some of the interesting class combos before I get into the deep lore of the Draenei history. So let me go over what Blizzard did release to us very quickly, and then I'll get into that lore. So here's the current state of Shadowlands. And I highlight the Highmountain Tauren for the reason of how little of the classes they get to choose from. It sucks, especially from some persons like I love Tauren, and you think they're a super fun race to play, and their race class combos are just absolutely horrible. The regular Tauren, as opposed to the Highmountain, have a couple more choices, like literally just 2 more, but they at least have my favorite one, Paladin. So they at least have the Warrior, the Paladin, the Druid, and Death Knight, which are some of my favorite classes to play. But, it would be cool if we could get more Tauren class combos and just more stuff, just more race class combos across the board, which is what Blizzard is going to be releasing to us very soon. This is all they got, and I think that really sucks, because the Highmountain Tauren are pretty cool. In fact, I think that Highmountain Tauren, being like a specialty class, they should actually have more race class combos. Like, you have the baseline Tauren, and then you have the Highmountain Tauren. Like, you're unlocking like a further sect of like the same race. So I think the Highmountain Tauren should actually have more race class combos than the regular Tauren. But this is the current state of the game. Let's check out what's on the PTR. Tauren Rogue, which I thought about it for a little bit, and I think Tauren Rogues can make sense. I think they can make sense lore-wise in the game, but let's just take a look at the classes that Blizzard unlocked for the Highmountain, which is so much better. There we go. The Tauren can now be mages, rogues, and priests. So mage, rogue, priest, as well as warrior, hunter, and death knight has been unlocked for all races. I think that's a good thing that Blizzard is doing that, and I think they should take it a step further. I feel like it'd be really easy for the Highmountain Tauren, just give them paladins. The Tauren already have paladins. I feel like that's a super easy, bam, there's just one more super quick and easy race class combo that we can add into the game. Easy peasy. In addition to that, Warlock, Monk, Shaman, and basically like a race choice between Druid or Paladin. Humans more focused on the order, so they would of course, get Paladin and give them Shaman as well. Orcs I would let them, let Orcs pick up Druid, because they are more focused on being empathetic with nature. If Orcs are able to be Shamans, then, they pretty close to being in tune with the natural elements of the planet, why not just take it one step, just a little bit more in sort of like, I feel like a sideways direction, pretty closely related to nature. Maybe not like the living things of nature, but I don't feel like it's a far cry of a step for druids to, or for orcs to, take it one step further and to develop an empathy, for nature. Even though a lot of the orcs are, sort of, just tear down all of Ashenvale to be able to get their wood to be able to build Orgrimmar. Yeah, sure. Let them have druids. Everyone's talking about how the Tauren Rogue is such like a meme thing, but it's normal for races, for a society, and the people in that society to develop new skills, to learn from others around them, and to be able to adapt and learn and develop new skills. So that being said, I don't think that one race should be limited to, those roles forever lore-wise. I'd like to see further roles getting unlocked for them, either through quest chains, like maybe 20 to 30 minute quest chains, maybe 20 or 30 minute quest chains, maybe like after DragonFlight is launched, but like, continue to release those racecraft combos through DragonFlight and maybe have like a, I don't know, I wouldn't be opposed to like maybe 1 or 2 hour like quest chain that unlocks them at the end, or maybe it's behind a rep grind or something, or something like that. But I think unlocking more race class combos through the game is a good thing. In kitty cat form, Tauren actually already know how to stealth. So sure, they do it through an animalistic view. So the Tauren do it by being empathetic with nature, and be able to transform into cats to be able to blend in with their surroundings. But that doesn't mean that they can't take it a step further and basically do that in their own personal form. Sure, a Tauren isn't really like known for being stealthy. They usually load up with armor and charge into battle, but it like lore-wise, I feel like it makes sense for a Tauren to be able to do it. So it wouldn't be common practice. Like it would be, this would be a Tauren that's like really far, like kind of out there and maybe not part of the main tribes, but just because the Tauren of Mulgore and Bloodhoof don't typically use daggers and like rogue type tactics, doesn't mean that every Tauren on Azeroth doesn't want to be stealthy or didn't turn towards stealth. It's just that this current tribe of Tauren is more attuned to nature and warriors and charging into battle and all that Tauren type of stuff. Doesn't mean that other Tauren around the world might not have picked up, or that doesn't mean that these Tauren might not have picked up some different types of skills. And I don't know, I just think adding those race class combos, I think it's a good thing, even though they're big and clunky. And I was playing around with this a little bit, and I was trying out the Tauren Rogue, and I'll be honest, like I was having fun with this. I thought this was really cool, like Tauren being like sort of bouncy, like really fast, like running all over the place kind of stuff and confusing your enemies. You know what? If someone just wants to play a big beefy, Tauren Rogue because they want to, it's like, hey, why not? It's actually really fun. If you haven't tried it out, give it a try out, because I actually had a lot of fun just messing around with this. If Draenei become warlocks, it could potentially get into a really awkward situation where a Draenei warlock summons and slays a succubus, and it turned out to be her sister. So, I mean, even though unlocking Warlock for Draenei could get into some really weird situations, I think it would still be, I think it'd be cool that they unlocked Draenei Warlocks, and I think the lore supports it as well. The only reason that the Draenei don't currently use Fel Magic and Warlocks is because the first Warlocks that messed around with Fel Magic, you know what, they basically brought the attention of Sargeras onto Argus, and then onto Draenor, and then onto Azeroth, so yeah, they have a pretty good reason to not want to be able to use B Warlocks, but I mean, let's look at the similarities here for a second. All right, you know what? The horns, the tail, the hooves, the wings. You're saying like, where's the wings on the paladin? You know what? Paladins get wings too. And so do demon hunters, so maybe they should be demon hunters too. And I'll talk about that one in a little bit, but alright, so let's talk about Draenei lore. The Draenei were the first race to be warlocks, but the majority of the culture, Draenei culture, actually shunned what warlocks were doing. They thought Fel magic was, you know, evil, and they didn't like it. Prophet Valen himself even denounced, you know, warlocks. Valen just didn't like warlocks initially, felt some bad spooky vibes about it, told people not to do it, and well, you know what, people did it anyway. For Archimond, they, you know, just came in and wiped everyone out, for all the warlocks out, not because they were afraid or disliked warlocks or had spooky creepy vibes about them, but because they saw this as a power that they could seize for themselves. And a lot of the Draenei did that and followed that. They followed this, you know, dark magic that they thought they could seize for themselves. But the Burning Legion eventually came to Argus and basically took everything over. Prophet Velen basically got everyone onto a ship and drove it onto, basically crash landed on Outland. And of course the Burning Legion found them there, so, you know, Prophet Velen took the ship and basically crash landed onto Azeroth. From the very beginning, the Eredar did not like warlocks. They shunned them from their culture, and Velen had a sneaking suspicion that they were warlocks, and Fel magic was a very bad thing, and we shouldn't touch that at all. And well, he was pretty much right, but like, goddamn, this dude can't drive at all. This video is super hilarious, so let's check it out real quick. So yeah, this guy crash landed on 2 different planets.
What are you doing? You can't drive without license!
Oh yeah? Watch this!
Even though the Eredar ran from the Burning Legion on Argus and crash landed onto Draenor, and then the Eredar fled from the Burning Legion on Outland and crash landed onto Azeroth and had a huge war against the Burning Legion, and, you know, had shunned warlocks from the beginning. The Draenei were actually the very first race to be able to harness the power of Fel magic and to summon demons into their world. Now, so the Draenei had been running from the Burning Legion, fighting the Burning Legion for a very long time. And for the majority of that, most of their people did not use Fel magic. However, there's actually a lot of Draeneis that do use Fel magic, and they are corrupted. And the majority of the Burning Legion are corrupted Draenei who have been corrupted into Fel Guards and 5 Draenei spirits and just like crush into like one weird flesh monster. And some of them, I think some Draenei did eventually become succubus. Look at the two of these ladies. I mean, they both got the hooves, the tail, the horns. The only difference is that one drank too much fel magic and grew wings. I mean, heck, even Drainy paladins can have wings, but like these two characters look almost exactly the same. And regardless of some Drainy becoming succubus, I think it would still be really cool that the Drainy on Azeroth picked up Warlocks, because Drainy were the very first race to be able to use it. You know, why not, you know, continue that, and why not be like, you know, he might be like a mad, you know, fel Drainy, but, you know, they definitely exist, and, you know, it could be a fun quest lore-wise for one of those to be, you know, captured, and then, you know, instead of being like tortured and like dominated, you know, they were given free will, but, you know, basically forced to work for, you know, the Alliance or the Horde. And then, you know, Drainy unlock classes. But then there is still that weird concept of, you know, that big divide where some Drainy fled Argus and fled the Might of Sargeras, and a lot more joined Sargeras. So the warlocks on Azeroth, if you have a Drainy warlock summoning and enslaving, you know, demons to be able to use against their enemies, there, you know, there is still that really awkward chance that if a Drainy warlock is added, they could accidentally summon their sister into Azeroth and, you know, enslave them and make them fight for them. So if Drainy warlocks do happen, it is possible for them to enslave their sisters, technically. But I just thought that was really funny, since, you know, Blizzard was doing all these really, I think, fun lore or fun like race class combos, and like I want to talk about some like some of these, and just some of the awkward things that they could get into is really funny. But there is one more that I want to talk about that a lot of people, I think, would initially disagree with me, but I think lore-wise it would actually make sense for this next race class combo. I think there is some lore to be able to support undead paladins. So right now, I mean, the version of the undead paladin is basically like a death knight, but I think it would actually make sense for undead to actually be able to pick up the light and be able to use that light against their enemies. And let me tell you the lore reasons why that would actually make sense for them. So we're slaves of the Scourge, and the ones that broke off from Arthas and left the Scourge and took up the ruins of Lordaeron were actually undead citizens of Lordaeron. And if you know anything about the history of Lordaeron and the people from there, Lordaeron is right next to where Tyr fell. Tirisfal is literally named after Tyr. The people who lived in that area worshipped Tyr to death, and that's Tirisfal is actually where historically paladins came out of. So the whole paladin light and religion and, you know, following Tyr and Tyr's hand actually came out of where Tyr actually fell and fought against Galakrond. You know, those people, you know, worship that guy so much, and his noble sacrifice, that's basically where paladins came out of. Now, history years later, Arthas come by and enslaves all the people there for the Scourge, and now those people are undead, but the Lich King's powers was weakened at one point, and those Scourge, those people leave the Scourge and join Sylvanas. Now, let's say those undead were former citizens of Lordaeron. A lot of them were, actually. A lot of the undead that reside in Lordaeron are former citizens of Lordaeron. Sure, there's deaths and dead bodies could have came from all over the place. There's rangers, there's undead rangers who were, Sylvanas' personal bodyguards, and there's other completely different races like the Nerubians, and undead elves, pretty much undead like any race. But a lot of the undead that were first introduced in vanilla World of Warcraft were the original citizens of Lordaeron. They actually stayed there. They didn't leave their home. So let's think about it for a sec. So the paladins of Lordaeron were the people of Lordaeron. Originally paladin, you got killed and raised into undeath by the Scourge, and then those powers weakened, so you left the Scourge and joined Sylvanas and reclaimed Lordaeron for your own, because that was once your home. You used to be a paladin, and after undeath, what you knew was being a paladin and serving in the light. It would make sense to continue serving the light and being a paladin. And I feel like the lore supports that, because, well, even though it's difficult for the undead, lore-wise, to be able to wield light, undead do have priests, so the undead already wields light, even though it's difficult for them. It says it burns for them to be able to wield light. It's easier for them to wield shadow, and if they use the light, they can actually feel like the maggots probably under their skin and stuff like that. Even though that's true, the undead are already using light, and it would make sense for the undead to learn more applications of the light, because let's see, who's the primary enemy of the undead? The primary enemy of the undead was the Scourge at first, so it would have made sense for the undead to be able to harness that military might so they could easily fight their enemy. So I really do think Undead Paladin makes sense lore-wise. And they were basically people of Lordaeron that held on to the light so hard that even in undeath, they were still devoted to the light. Which is basically like what that pseudo-leader of the undead is right now in the council or whatever. You should probably look up her name or whatever. But, our new priestly leader, who I didn't bother learning the name, I don't think it's all that important. Anyway, one of the leaders of Council of Five, she was resurrected. She was resurrected by the light instead of being resurrected by a death knight, which is how most of the undead were resurrected. So there's different magics that can allow people, to be completely different types of undead. But yeah, so I think it would make sense for the Undercity to be able to harness the power of the light, fight off the other undead that are still roaming, and to be able to fight off the Burning Legion, because the undead were the primary enemies of the undead, and even though it's their weakness, they can use that power against their enemies. So I think it makes sense lore-wise for an undead paladin. I really do. And I really wish it was in the game, and I think more of these race class combos should be introduced into the game. I'll be honest, I think it'd be really cool if we had Drainy Demon Hunters. Why not? The Drainy already basically look like demons. If we give them Warlocks, why not give them Demon Hunters? It's because the Eridar were basically some of the first demons to join the Burning Legion. While Sargeras was growing his force, he, sought out the Drainy and found that they would be great generals and great warriors, to be able to subjugate. And, the Drainy, they just wanted more power. But, I think just because of how closely related the Eridar are to demons, I think giving them Warlocks and Demon Hunters would be really cool. I hope I see that in the future. I know it would take some work for Blizzard to be able to do that. But even if it was like a meme thing and you still turned into the same, big evil demon looking thing, because Yo, look at this big demon-looking guy. Their features are very Eridari. The Illidari look like Eridari. But yeah, the Illidari and the Eridar, their features are almost, I feel like, exactly the same. They got the horns, the hooves, the wings, the demon tail. You know, it's just what magic they're using. So I think a Draeni Demon Hunter would like just because they look so close together, it wouldn't be complicated for Blizzard to be able to make a race class combo out of it, because I mean, look at them. One's light, one's fell. That's it. That's the only difference. One light, one fell. Or I should click this one. Fell. One's fell. One's light. But they're, I mean, just because the Eridar were, you know, so close to demons, there's so many, you know, so many Eridar that like have become demons. It's almost like they've almost intertwined themselves with fell magic, and you know, once you start taking up like more demon and fell, you just start to look more like an Eridar, pretty much. And that might be because of Sargeras and or, you know, Kill Jaden and Archimonde. It could be any number of things. It could be just a Blizzard design choice, but hey, Demon Hunters and Draenei, they look so much the same. Just, you know, just give me the Draenei Demon Hunter. Just because I think that just because I think it'd be cool just to be able to have like all the light and dark sides of like the Draenei. Just, you know, further that race class combo thing. Anyway, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about race class combos. I think Blizzard releasing more race class combos is a good thing, and I would really like to see them furthering that path. Like, I'm very happy with what they're doing so far. Keep it up, Blizzard. Everything that you're doing on DragonFlight looks good so far. Keep up the work and continue that pace. Don't stop there. Keep going with unlocking more race class combos, please. Please, Blizzard. I would love to see more unique race class combos. Please, just give me the undead paladins. Just please, I just want undead paladins. Like, I'll shut up about the Draenei, warlocks, and demon hunters if I get undead paladins. I just want undead paladins. Just give me undead paladins, guys. I would love that so much. I mean, hey, we already got the Torn Rogues. I mean, come on, right? Give me the undead paladins, right? And give me this. I feel like it'd be pretty easy because you just get the same out as the humans, because the undead that follow the light, I mean, they're like the undead that followed the light would just be like you know, citizens of Lordaeron that just held so strong onto the light that not even death could stop them. So, you know, I feel like that'd be cool. Alright, hey guys, you know, this is Rose. Thanks for watching. If you liked my video, please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and it helps me grow as a small content creator. And I'm going to be doing more World of Warcraft videos like this in the future, and I'm going to be focusing on World of Warcraft Retail and World of Warcraft Classic. I'm going to be covering both of those as I see fit. I typically cover some of the bigger things, but if I can, I do like to make videos on both sides. So I do play both. So I do play Classic, I do play Retail. And I think that's all I got for today. Thanks everybody if you tuned in, and stay classy, undead paladins. Yeah, keep us up on undead paladins. Yeah, just more undead paladins. Just please, players, just undead paladins. I just want those undead paladins, please. Just give me the undead paladins.